Hello, it's Rafael Gutierrez. Welcome to our channel. Today I'm going to talk about doing a trip with martial arts. Someone told me call it a musha shugyo. I don't see it as a warrior's pass. I just see it as a way to actually get to meet different martial artists, try different styles, and hopefully this is something that you've either considered doing and maybe it'll inspire you to do it, or maybe you haven't thought about it and it will inspire you to try a trip like this. Now, there's a lot of benefits to doing these trips, especially if you train in different types of styles. What I mean by that is, my style tends to be a Okinawan-based Shirin, and when I did this trip, I did do some Shirin-ryu, but I also got a chance to meet people who did different variations of styles, from Jeet Kune Do to Capoeira. It doesn't make me an expert in the styles by a long shot, but what it does is it gives you a view on what different people and different styles are doing. And you can see what may work for you. Sometimes you find new drills that you would enjoy and that you can bring to your dojo. Now, when doing this, it doesn't matter if it's a week or 2 week long trip on the coast of California, like I did on the Off the Rails, or if it's a 3 month trip that you do in Okinawa. Big thing is, if you want a good trip, you need planning. And to plan, you need to know what you're actually going to go for. So in the planning stage, first thing you need to know is how much time you have. If you're a college student and you have 3 months between a semester and the end of one semester and the beginning of another, you can do 3 months, and your biggest concern will probably be financial. If you're working and you have a week-long vacation, that's the time you have before you have to return to work. And so time really is important. You have to, when you're dealing with this, you have to realize that, you have to put in the time to travel, to train, to recover, and to sightsee. So you can see how I did it Off the Rails if you want to see. But pretty much what I would do is I'd start in San Diego. I went to LA. I did stay there a few days with friends. And so it actually cut the price that it would take me to do it. I also decided how to do it. And so that's probably where I should start. Thinking of the cost. Now, there are ways to save money, there are ways to spend more money, and it's up to what you're actually after. If you're traveling with your girlfriend or wife and kids, you're going to want to have certain experience where if you're single, it'll be a lot different. And it's not that one's better than the other, it's just that things are going to be different. For instance, if you're a single 19, 20, 21-year-old, you're going to be able to go stay in different places. If you're married, you have to make sure it's places your wife is going to be happy with too. So that's one thing you have to look at. You also have to look at how you're going to get from point A to point B. Are you going to take your car? Are you going to take public transit? Are you going to take train? Are you going to fly? Each one of these will have benefits and disadvantages. And you have to actually decide what's the best thing for your trip. The other thing you want to find out is where and who you're going to be training with. This is actually probably the easiest part, because what you can do is you can go online. You can go to web pages where different martial artists get together, and you can decide who you're going to train with, talk to them beforehand, see if they're going to be open, see if they charge for visitors, and see what they actually are offering. Now, if you're training with someone who charges, you need to write that down, how much they're going to charge you for the hour of training. If they're not charging you, one of the things I would tell you is bring a gift. Now, the gifts can be gift cards. You can go buy a bunch of gift cards and know that you're going to give it one to each person where you train at, that they don't charge you. That is going to be part of the cost that you have to look at. Your travel expenses. Now, when I did the Off the Rails, I did a California Pass, I think it was called, and it's a ticket where you can actually come on and off the train a few times. And I used that to pretty much get to Oakland, and that was, I think it was 150, maybe 180, around there. And that actually paid for most of my travel from here to the next city. There are different ways to get around. One of them is understanding that you may use public transit. You may actually end up taking the ride-sharing apps, which is the way I did it. And that way you you actually have to put how much you're going to be paying from the area you stop in to wherever you're going to go train and to any entertainment. One of the things that I found with some of the trips is a lot of times after training, we would get together and go out for dinner. We'd talk, we'd interact in different ways. Sometimes I'd actually have time for myself, and I was able to see the sights of certain cities which I hadn't been to before. And that actually is things that you do have to put into your cost. Housing is one of the important things. Now again, you don't have to go out of your way and pay the most expensive things in the world. You can actually take cheaper alternatives. When I did Off the Rails, I did hostels a lot of times, or the lowest price hotels I was able to find on hotels.com, different apps. And this actually helped me get my prices down, but there were also some people who I stayed with who were friends. So I stayed with friends along the way. If you're a college student and you know that you have friends of friends, you can do that. And so you can actually see how much it's going to cost you. And if you do this beforehand, you can already see the prices. You can see how much your hotel is going to cost you. You're going to be able to see how much staying at a friend's place. And again, if you stay at a friend's place, bring a gift. With this, knowing where you're going to train and with who, and where you're going to stay, you can then actually end up going for a lot of other things. Remember, if you're taking public transit, if you're taking the train, or if you're taking a taxi, or if you're taking rideshare, you're going to have to carry everything that you are going to need with you. What it means is you don't want to overload yourself to a point where you have a hard time going from place to place. If you're taking train, you also want to make sure you can get onto the train without being too awkward. Remember, if you're doing this for over a week, it can end up getting, it can be pretty physically exhaustion. But those are things that you do have to actually look at. The other thing is, when you're looking at who you're training with, you have to ask yourself, are they charging you for training? If they're charging you, you know that that's something you're going to have to put down. If not, again, gifts, big thing. I always tell people, bring gifts. The other thing you actually have to look at is what you're going to bring. Now, once you already know who you're going to train with, you can actually plan your clothing. Plan your clothing. For instance, if you're going to be going to a judo studio, you're going to want at least a judo top gi. A lot of times you could get away with the whatever gi bottoms you want. If you're doing kickboxing, a lot of them will actually say just use whatever clothes you want. Someone will ask you to specifically use certain types of shorts if they're a specific style that requires. And someone may have their own uniforms, which may be affordable. There was one place I went to which they had a t-shirt and shorts which they wanted for a uniform. And it's kind of nice because I now have a t-shirt and shorts from a martial arts studio, which I kept as a pretty much a souvenir. So this actually will tell you a lot. If you are using t-shirts for training, for instance, if they say we don't care what you wear a t-shirt and that's all you're going to do, I would tell you to consider getting clean used t-shirts. And the reason is this: as you go on, if you have clean used t-shirts, clean old t-shirts, especially ones you don't care about, as you go on, you put on the t-shirt, you sweat in it, you can throw it away. It's an old one that you don't care about, preferably, and then you can move on. You can buy a new t-shirt later on if you need. If the dojo may have a shirt and you think it's really cool and you want to get one for keepsake, that's actually one thing to do. Now, once you plan what you're going to take, the clothes, the gi, the gifts, who you're going to go with, how much it's going to cost, you now have everything you need to plan this. If you're doing this in, let's say, a summer, which would be in 3-4 months from now, you actually can start saving up for what you need to do. You can start buying some of the stuff ahead of time. A lot of hotels and a lot of actually the trains, you can buy the tickets now and you can get locked into the price that you have now, so you don't have to worry about it afterwards. You can start paying your way and start buying gift cards that you're going to give away. If you think about it, it's easier to give those than almost anything because all you have to do is carry the cards. And by the time it comes, all you have to do is enjoy your trip. I would also tell you, we all have cell phones now, it seems, so take pictures, show them. If you've actually done this before or are considering doing it, Or if you do it, if you watch this and then you decide doing it later, come back, show us the pictures that you've taken along your trip and who you train with. I hope you enjoy this and have a nice day.